Welcome everybody to I'm Confused, an engaged learning experience session on the struggles of bringing Inoue's labor-based grading contracts to community colleges at CCCC's 2021. We're going to introduce ourselves, tell you a little about what we're doing, and then we'll dive in.
Hi, everybody. My name is Allison Gross. I teach at Portland Community College in Portland, Oregon. I've been using contract grading. I think I'm into my 5th year now. It's something I feel is a really good thing. It's really radically changed my teaching, and I feel really positive about it. But I have also noticed some challenges that I've had over the years, and I'm really excited to talk about it with you all today.
All right, thank you, Allison. I'm Blake Hausman. I also teach at Portland Community College in Portland, Oregon. And I think that the first time I used contract grading was like the first time I taught an English 101 class. As a first year grad student over like 20 years ago. And I used contract grading for a bit like early in my teaching career, and then shifted to more traditional grading for many years, and then came back to contract grading about 5 years ago, around the same time that that you're referring to as well, Allison. So I think that it has also had radically useful, radically practical, and transformative effects on my classes and for my students. But it does raise all sorts of questions, especially in the community college context, in terms of how some of the assumptions that are often associated with that universities maybe don't always translate, or sometimes definitely don't translate to community college experience. So thanks for being here, everybody, for engaging this engaged learning experience with us.
I'm Jessica Johnson. I also teach at PCC, Portland Community College, and I first started using contract grading in around 2012, I think, but my use of contract grading has shifted pretty dramatically from then to now. I haven't ever gone back, though, to traditional grading, and through a variety of roles I've inhabited in the college, I've had a chance to talk to various people about contract grading, and I'm excited to share some perspectives today, I think, on the issues that we're all sensing might be more prevalent in a community college environment. So thanks for being here.
And as I said, I'm Nick Hinton Fox. I also teach at PCC. And yeah, I've been using contract grading for about 5 years as well. And it's worked really well for me in most contexts, but yeah, today seems like a great opportunity to talk through some of these struggles with other folks who might be facing them as well.
Hey everybody, I'm Jen Swarz, and I have been teaching at community colleges for about 12 years, including Portland Community College. And now I teach at San Francisco State University, where I teach composition pedagogy to graduate students who want to teach at community and two-year colleges. And I also still teach freshman composition. I started using contract grading a long time ago, and I actually learned about it first as a student when I was going to San Diego State University. So I'm excited to have this discussion with you all today. Thanks for being here.
So Jen, we're going to pass it to you to give a little more context for folks who might not be fully in the definitional space, but I guess just to sort of sum up the thread through that is like, we all really value Inoue's work and other scholars of thinking about how grading works in how contract grading works in composition classrooms. But we also want to, I guess, open a wider critical conversation about some of the struggles around bringing that, particularly to open access institutions. So that's kind of the through line through today. So Jen, I'll pass this to you and let you give folks a little more big picture.
Sure. All right, so hello there, contract grading. I've heard some rumors about you. There are lots and lots of versions of contract grading out there. So you've probably heard lots of things. You've probably, if you are somebody who uses a grading contract, maybe you've seen different versions or you've even heard them called by different names. So I'm just going to briefly go over kind of a rough definition to start our conversation. So like I said, there's lots and lots of variation, and that depends on your concerns, why you're interested in using a non-traditional form of grading, your classroom culture that you wish to build, and your overall teaching philosophy, and then also your context with the institution and the students that you're working with and serving. So just a rough kind of definition of contract grading. Students complete X number of assignments or learning tasks to earn Y grade rather than partial points for each project. So instead of grading A through F, 0 to 100 with points and percentages, usually things are pass, no pass, and students complete assignments. And then the more labor, the more assignments they complete, the higher grade they tend to get. Within that framework, process steps and behaviors may be incorporated. So sometimes teachers who design grading contracts may figure in things like absences or late work or missing assignments. Within this grading structure, usually, like I said, there's minimal grading increments. There tends to be pass or no pass, or pass and revise, or pass and not yet. I've even seen some teachers do things like pass, no pass, but pass plus to signify sometimes if somebody's gone above and beyond. But usually it tends to be something around the lines of pass, no pass. Negotiation and choice points or choice aspects are possible, meaning some teachers will negotiate either the entire grading structure, the entire grading contract for the course with students, like what are the requirements that you all think are appropriate or that we all want to talk through together that would make up our course. Or sometimes negotiation is maybe around a singular assignment, like negotiating a rubric. Hybrids are also possible. One of the most famous ones is Peter Elbow, where there is some degree of quality configured into the student's end of course grade. And sometimes assignments can be pass, no pass, but then there are assignments that are graded. So there's a number of ways to do hybrid versions as well. But usually there is no grading of individual projects. And instead there's lots and lots of feedback and formative feedback, marginal comments, end comments, conferences, peer reviews. So that kind of formative feedback over the summative, which tends to be more like the end grade. So formative feedback is usually emphasized in this system. And yes, most of us teach at graded institutions, so there is an end grade for the transcript. Could you go on, Nick? Thanks. So I just find it very productive to think, for me, about contract grading as not one thing. I think about it as an assessment genre, which means that it's not one practice, it's actually a collection of practices. So like I said, there's tons and tons of variation depending on your motivation and depending on your design and enactment. One example of this can actually be the name of grading contracts. So there's a wide variety of terms that people use for a grading system like this. Some people even think about contract grading as a form of ungrading, although other people see those as different. But there can be learning records. So some people actually don't like the word grading because we're not really grading in the same way. So they may replace it with learning. Some people don't like the word contract. So sometimes that'll be replaced with something like record. So you have learning record, grading record, grading agreement, learning contract, grade goals. One of my favorites is grading promise. So you can kind of think about if you construct a grading contract or this kind of non-traditional grading system, what would you want to call it? How do you want to brand it? And how do you hope your students feel about it? So these dialogues that we're going to go through, just a quick note to say that they would play out differently depending on the version of contract grading you're using and your particular institutional context.
Thanks, Jen. So now we're going to set up the sort of logistics of this engaged learning session. So what we are going to present you with is 3 different vignettes that we've imagined between 3 different, multiple positions at the college, and sort of what conversation would take place between people in different positions around contract grading. Now, when we proposed this session for Cs, what we identified what for us are sort of the specific struggles of implementing contract grading at the 2-year college. And so what you see here on the slide is a list of some of those issues. So I'm not going to read the list, but I invite you to peruse it. And then as we go through each vignette, we'll introduce who's going to be speaking in what role. And then in between, we'll pause, and we want to invite you all to engage in a discussion with us around whatever issues the conversation surfaces. And we'll only be speaking for a few minutes. So this list is not exhaustive, and we might not touch on everything you see on this list, but be on the lookout for which of these issues might resonate with you, which ones you see in the vignettes, and maybe what issues you imagine might come up between the 2 people we're envisioning speaking to one another that we don't quite get to in the conversations that we present.
On that note, let us transition into our first dialogue. So to start things off, Jen and I are going to have a dialogue wherein there will be a student speaking with the teacher. I will play the student, and Jen, you will play the teacher. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start now. Okay, thank you so much for meeting with me, Professor. I just gotta say, I've been kind of nervous about it. I've been so nervous about this conversation, and just thank you. So I thank you for me. I thought you might be mad at me, because I was a little late on my final essay draft, right? And okay, so it's pretty late. I was pretty late with it, but I can explain. And I wanted to explain to you because, see, I had to take my mother-in-law to the hospital last week, and my partner had to work, and so I was stuck there at the hospital, and I had my kid with me, and I was trying to work on the essay. I feel like it's pretty close, but I still had a lot of work to do on it. And then I was using the Google document, and the Wi-Fi wasn't very good. And you'd think that a hospital would have better Wi-Fi. I don't know.
There's really no need to apologize. I'm just glad you were able to be there for your family.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. I guess, so I'm curious, like, how many points am I going to lose because it's late?
So actually you won't lose any. And I'm not sure if you remember, but in the first 2 weeks of class, we talked about how in this class, we don't even have points.
Right.
Do you remember that? Do you remember the grading?
Yeah, right. No, that's right. I'm just thinking like this other class, like when stuff was late, like they would take off certain points each day. So there really aren't any points, like, or anything, like, for like, okay, I know we talked about this, but I mean, okay, I remember you said that back at the start of class, but I guess I still have some questions about it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. I can also show you where to find our syllabus and grading system on our course management system so that you can reference it easier anytime you have questions. Of course, I'm happy to answer them, but it might be good for you to see that reference too. And I do know that the grading system in this class might be a little different from what you're used to. But basically, every project you complete is either pass or not yet.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Right. If I could like ask you another question,
Yeah,
um,
sure.
so do you have any extra credit assignments? I mean, just because like the paper was late and like, maybe I could do some extra credit to like, make up for it.
Yeah, not really. So each assignment is important to our course as a whole. So if you miss anything, then it's just up to you to make it up as soon as you're able.
Okay. That's cool. That's really cool. So, I
Yeah.
think I might have missed like another assignment like last week too. Um, I don't know if you could like check that. And maybe tell like if you know how many points like I lost for that one, if it was
Yeah,
different.
yeah, sure. Again, this is all in the course management system. So if you're ever stressed out, you can check that. Normally, when we all aren't online, I hand out paper checklists for everyone too, and we cross off each assignment together in class. So I totally understand if you're a little overwhelmed. Stupid COVID. But once I explain this to you again, where you can look for missing assignments, I hope you can follow it easier. Let me pull it up. It looks like you're missing a class discussion post from February 5th.
Yeah. I was like looking at it, I was reading what people were saying, and I thought about it, and I just never posted. So there's no points on that either. Like there's
Yeah,
just
there's no point. So you can make it up whenever you're able. And it is good to complete the work by the suggested due date so that you can stay on track with the rest of your peers in the class. And so we can have kind of like the ongoing conversation. But I totally understand if you need to go back and complete something from earlier in the term.
oh wow. Okay. Thank you. Like
Is
I
that
I'm
making more sense?
yeah, that is making, more sense. Cause like I was looking at the list of grades and the course website, and it was like pass or not yet passing for everything. And I was just getting a little anxious about like adding up the points, and I just wanted to know like where I was standing.
Well, if you look at the syllabus,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I read the syllabus. I guess I'm just, and I understand that it's like a different, okay, so it's a different system. There's no points. I guess I'm just not quite sure how we know if we're like passing the class though. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, that's such a good question. So if you go to the back page, if you scroll down
Okay.
on the syllabus, there's this checklist, and that's where the grading contract is. So your grade depends on the number of assignments that you successfully complete, those passing ones. So far, it looks like you're missing that one from February 5th. And in total, I think you're missing 3 things. And I see one revision that it looks like you're still working on. So, I mean, if you make those up, you can still be on track for the A. It's really up to you. My goal is to help every
Whoa.
person reach an A who wants one, and that includes you.
Wow. That is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm just so grateful. Can I ask you like one more question here real quick?
yeah,
I
yeah.
I, I wanted to ask you about the labor logs that we're supposed
Yep.
to do. Like, do we really need to do them? I mean, it's maybe just me. It's probably just me, right? But I think I'm having some trouble with them.
Go on. Can you be a little bit more specific, maybe what trouble you're having?
Yeah, they're like okay, they're like really messing with me because I was like setting a timer because I'm supposed to like keep track of how much like time, I'm working on it. So I was setting a timer and then I would pause it if I got interrupted, and then I would forget to restart it and I like lost track. And I guess I just don't do well with like estimating time. I just have to track it like on a timer. And I just, I never got around to setting it up with disability services, but I have pretty severe OCD and I like have to track like the amount of time. Otherwise, I don't feel good about like typing it in. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so like, yeah, like I tried it in the second week of class and my kid was interrupting me and I was like, hello, I'm in school too, but that doesn't seem to like register with him. So I was just like stopping and starting up again. And I was way short of 12 hours for the week. And I just like wasn't sure what to do about it.
That's okay.
Yeah, it was probably more like 4 hours that I put in, instead of like the 12 hours. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe we can think of a way to keep track of your hours that would be useful for you. The idea of the labor log is to help you be mindful about what kind of work you're doing for our class, like whether it's reading or writing. Most people also know where they are working and when they are working so that they can notice patterns and what works best for them. It's not meant to stress you out, I promise. It's
Okay.
just one way we are practicing self-reflection in this class and trying to find writing practices that work for you.
Okay. Um, Thank you. I may have some more questions for you about that, like in our next meeting, but if you don't mind, I might just ask just like one, like what happens, what happens if I can't work on the class for like the time required, or if I don't get to that, like, am I gonna fail the class?
No. And I'm really
Okay. Thanks.
glad you asked. This is good feedback for me. This is actually the first time, the first term I'm trying out these labor logs, and I think I could have explained them better. Basically, the time required is more like a guideline, and it also helps you hopefully to pay more attention to your reading and writing processes, like I said. But I realize people complete things at different times in different ways, and that's totally okay. Just take the best notes that you can about the work sessions you're doing, however short or long. And maybe you can write about them in your end of term reflection. That's actually what these are mostly for you to notice your writing process, notice patterns, and then reflect on them during and after the term. So like maybe your best writing actually happens when your kids are close by. Maybe it happens on the patio, maybe it happens in the morning, maybe after lunch. That's when I write my best. If you kind of make notes about this throughout the term, then you can make adjustments and find what works best for you. If geeking out about your writing processes isn't interesting to you at the moment, though, I totally get it. Your log notes might be shorter than others, and that's totally okay. You're not failing the class. You've done most of the work for the class.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that. Maybe I could show you like the log that I'm working on. Like I could share it with you. You could tell me like if it's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to
Okay.
talk through it with you.
Cool. And on that note, we're going to end this dialogue. Thank you, Jen. And we'll transition to the next one. All right.
Thank you guys. That was awesome. So we could spend the whole rest of the panel talking about that. The next one is different situation. So Allison and I are going to be colleagues, who both do contract grading and have set up a time to chat as we do now over Zoom instead of by the copier, just about what's going on. So we'll just jump into it.
Hey, Nick.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for being willing to talk to me. I really feel like I need to talk to somebody about what's going on with contract grading for me.
Yeah. Are you like revising your contract?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I just, I'm feeling like, I almost feel like I'm ready to give up on the whole thing.
Yeah. What's the, like, where are you getting stuck? Like, what's the thing that's super problematic right now?
Oh, let's see. I mean, I had a pretty tough term using it. It wasn't anything entirely new, but I feel like I'm reaching this point of frustration where due dates are driving me nuts. I feel like one of the biggest, one of the things I liked about going to contract grading was this idea of like valuing things being turned in on time or within a certain period of time. And I just feel like my students really struggle with due dates. Like no matter how much work I do to work on it with them, they just really struggle with due dates. And then I also feel like I have to do so much like negotiating with different students. Like when we go to workshops or panels where people talk about contract grading, they always seem to have it like more together than I have it. And like they talk about, it's like, in my mind, they're only dealing with like 1 or 2 students who need different like negotiations around the contract. And I feel like it's this huge number of students in my class that I'm trying to negotiate with. And even when they're given the promise of, yeah, you do the negotiation, and then there's always like a renegotiation and then another renegotiation. It feels like it kind of spirals out of control. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, totally. I mean, I think, and it's really hard now because too, like you're doing it on Zoom or over email, whereas sometimes it would be easier to do it in purpose. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of that too. I mean, I just sort of, I don't know, like I've just kind of given up on all the negotiations. Like I've been taking work like at the last minute before grades are due. And I mean, but I don't know, you sound, it hasn't been cool for me, but like you sound really fed up, like almost like you would want to go back to like traditional grading.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it. There's something that feels really like neat and clean about points all of a sudden, even though, you know, I wanted to get away from that. It feels like, I feel like the pull of it, you know. I was thinking about a lot of the conversations that we have about our students and how they really struggle with the aspect of studentship, like how to be
Totally.
students, you know. And I feel like when I taught at a 4-year, you know, I had some students that struggled with it, but I've noticed like working at a community college, I feel like that's more of an issue, and rightfully so, because they just have so much going on in their lives. I mean, you know, they've got jobs, they've got kids, they've got family members that they're caring for. They have, you know, food insecurity. I mean, it's just there's so many things that they have to deal with. And in some ways, I worry that like what's supposed to make their lives easier is actually not making their lives easier.
Totally.
And how do I help them to how do I help them navigate it? You know, you're still getting all these questions. It's supposed to help them be clear about their grade is, and yet they're constantly asking, what's my grade? And struggling to understand how to put the contract alongside the marks that they're getting, which are, you know, either done or not done. And like, how does that all come together?
Yeah, I totally have felt that with students too, especially students who are really struggling like with other life stuff, where it's like, I'm asking you to do more work to like do this, what I think of as like radical reevaluation of how we think about grading and learning. But it turns out like, I don't know, to be more work for them. And I was talking the other day to somebody too, who was like, and it's like, how much of my class do I just give up to like teach this?
Yeah.
You know, and like, yeah, especially over Zoom, that's been really hard for me too.
Yeah, I've
mean-
had that thought about the content. Like, do I have this content, the things that I want us to learn, and to what extent do I have to give that up to make room for teaching the contract?
I mean, I do a lot, like I'm doing a lot of it, and I've been doing more like videos and visual things and stuff that's just trying to make it really like accessible and simple. But like, I don't know, I guess the thing I always come back to when I'm at these like low points with my contract is like, which yeah, like is often at the end of the term, right? When it's just so messy. But like, I don't know, it's like, how much better would this be with traditional grading? Like, am I like romanticizing that was easier? Because I definitely remember
Yeah.
sitting there with my grades and being like, how do I make this 89 into a 90? Because this person really, I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
then
I'm really sorry.
it gives this like, there's like an illusion of control or something with
Yeah,
traditional grading. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Mm.
that's a good point.
I don't
I
know. I'm
appreciate
sorry
that.
you're stressed. It's hard.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate it. I'll keep working on it.
Cool. All right.
Thanks.
Thanks. Very, very natural ending to that conversation. Thank you. All right. We have one more dialogue with Jessica and Jen.
Okay, so in this dialogue, I'm going to be a department chair, and Virginia is going to be an adjunct or job insecure instructor. And in, you know, non-COVID times, this conversation might take place around the copy machine, but we'll pretend that we just happen to be in a Zoom meeting about something else and got a chance to talk, I guess. Okay. Hey, Virginia, I have one of your former students this quarter.
Oh yeah, awesome. Which student? What class?
You know, I keep forgetting her name, but she said you didn't give grades on the essays. She said you were an amazing teacher though, but like no grades. What's up with that? I mean, we've done so many norming sessions with the grading, and I guess I just wonder, I wonder about that consistency and like that alignment piece.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm glad she loved the class. So I do this thing called contract grading. Don't worry, everybody still gets a final grade for their transcript. I haven't seen any evidence that grades on individual assignments actually help students learn or become better writers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I've heard of contract grading. There was this thing about it in the Teaching Learning Center last year, but I didn't go. I heard it's a ton of work though, because you have to write them like letters as feedback. I mean, letters?
Yeah, there's lots and lots of ways to give feedback, and some folks who use grading contracts do write letters. I tend to write comments throughout the margins, a paragraph at the end. And then I use conferences to dialogue with students about their writing. This may seem like a lot of work, but I actually don't find that it's as much work as I was putting in before. And it's work I enjoy doing. I love reading students' writing.
You do? I've been doing this for 25 years and I am like kind of sick of their writing, to be honest.
Yeah, when I used to give grades, I would agonize so much about being fair, and I struggled to enjoy students' writing as well. I would sit on the floor surrounded by papers in my office, sitting on the office floor, making stacks for each grade, and moving those stacks around and trying so hard to be fair, back and forth between these stacks. And then I spent so much time writing feedback to justify my decisions. This always took a ton of time. With contract grading, I feel like I can give more helpful feedback, even though I'm teaching 7 classes this quarter at 3 campuses.
Wow, 7 classes is a lot.
True story.
But like, what about the ones that don't do the assignment though, or they just do it like really half-assed? I mean, don't you get a lot of like really half-assed essays?
Not at all. Students seem to love our class and put in as much effort as they are able to. And it's not anything goes either. We still have student learning outcomes in our class, and I actually talk about those with students, and they think it's really fascinating. And if an assignment doesn't meet the requirements, then people can just revise. So everything is pass or revise the way that I've set things up.
Okay. I don't know. That does sound like more work to me, but it's great that you're teaching the outcomes. I mean, it took us so long to revise them, and we finally got that research component in there. Well, I guess I think that's great contract grading if it works for you. Just don't burn yourself out. We have a full-time job opening up next year, and you've got to pace yourself.
I really appreciate your concern. And I'll make sure to keep track of my hours. And students do keep track of their own work and revisions. So it's really great because contract grading for me doesn't feel like a paperwork nightmare. And over the years, I've figured out just how to make it less work on myself.
Oh, good. Well, I'm just concerned about you and your well-being.
Thanks. Well, let me know if you want to put together a stipend, maybe to help support those of us in the department doing this work.
OMG, I wish I could.